Kong is one of those rare cases of a movie that actually got more popular as time went on. Mind you, the original film was a huge success when it came out for the first time in 1933. But after the flick was re-released in theaters in 1956, and especially after it started airing on TV, its popularity skyrocketed. The following decade saw something of a renaissance for King Kong, with the character starring in a cartoon and featuring in 2 movies by Toho, both of which I already covered in this channel. If you haven't yet, you should definitely check them out. With Kong now cemented into the zeitgeist, it was a matter of time until someone decided to remake the original 1933 film for modern audiences. It is just that no one was expecting for multiple people to try it at the exact same time. That's right, around 1975, both Paramount and Universal, independently or not from one another depending on the source, came up with the idea of remaking the classic monster movie. While Paramount had secured the rights for the character straight from RKO, Universal claimed the story was now public domain, since no one had bothered to renew the rights of the original film's novelization. While both studios rushed with their respective productions, a legal battle was happening behind the scenes to guarantee neither of them released their movie at the same time as the other, which would be bad for everyone involved. Eventually, Universal bent the knee and halted production of their King Kong film, decided to tell their own version of the story when the time came. And tell it they did, but we still have some ways to go. The rush to get the film made as quick as possible took a toll on Paramount's production, which was plagued by an overblown budget and a malfunctioning animatronic monkey which, by the way, was the size of the real deal and intended to perform the part as well. In the end, they went for the much more reasonable approach of using a guy in a fursuit. Itself not an ideal solution as they barely had time to make the damn thing. Kong's own suit actor, Rick Baker, later commented it was a shame they didn't have enough time to make a proper realistic gorilla suit for the flick and had to settle for the awkward, human proportion design that went into the final product. While matters like these were born from production problems often beyond the control of those involved, some other aesthetic decisions were made completely consciously by the crew, which makes them less justifiable. King Kong was made at the height of a very cynical time in US history, something reflected in this movie, perhaps the most cynical of any of Kong's flicks. Watergate, Vietnam and the oil crisis were still very much in the public consciousness. An anti-authoritarian sentiment dominated, while environmentalism started to gain space. In this context, it makes sense for the protagonist of the flick to be a hippie nature photographer who spends the entire runtime of the story butting heads with an oil baron, while cheering for Kong during the climatic battle. That's honestly fucked up. I mean, I get it. As smart as he is, Kong is still an animal who doesn't know any better and should not be condemned for the damage he does. That was a commendable attempt at rectifying the original film's questionable characterization of the monkey. But would you really rather save his life over the ones of countless innocent people under the flimsy excuse of him being one of a kind? Added to it Jack Prescott's obnoxious, self-righteous and know-it-all attitude, and it gets really hard to root for him, even if he does have a point most of the time.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like, your opinion, man.
This movie feels very much like a product of its time, more than the original. What I mean by that is that while it is true that the 1933 King Kong was born from the pulp adventures and racist jungle documentaries that were popular at the time, the movie itself has long overshadowed its main influence. No one remembers the exact circumstances surrounding the original King Kong. By contrast, it is impossible to watch the 1970s film and not be remembered of the context that gave birth to it, in part because it didn't make the splash its predecessor did, but also because the world of 1976 in which the movie is so deeply rooted is still very much alive in our imaginary. And there is nothing inherently wrong with that, but I believe that in this particular case, it makes it harder to swallow all the questionable story decisions I mentioned earlier. In the end, This version of King Kong would go on to perform really well at the box office, recouping over 4 times its own budget. But considering Paramount wanted this to be their Jaws, suffice to say the studio was less than impressed. Audiences probably felt the same, not buying into the film's miscalculated attempts at a cynical and politically charged storyline in a time all they wanted was just plain and simple escapism, which is why this is the least remembered of Kong's main adventures. And I am speaking from experience as this was the first King Kong movie I ever watched when I was little, and despite leaving quite an impression on my infant mind, I kind of forgot about it in the years since, the original and especially the 2005 remake having supplanted it in my brain. It is not bad, it's fun and aesthetically quite stunning, but the story and characters are more annoying than they have any right to be, which definitely spoiled the overall experience for me. Universal's promised take on the character would wait a little longer to happen. In the meantime, Paramount would give another shot at the character in yet another Kong sequel of questionable quality, doomed to be completely forgotten by the world.